All right, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Politics, Economics, and the Struggle to Survive in America. I'm your host. My name is Jerrald President. And today, what I'm going to do, I'm talking about President Trump's speech at the United Nations. Now, the reason why I want to start this episode off with President Trump's speech at the United Nations was to highlight how white supremacy truly functions. And you have to ask yourself, wow, all of these nations participating in a system that was set up by Europeans and white males here in the United States of America to maintain control of the former colonies. So once again, I just want you to listen to how he speaks and the things that he says to these individuals as them, the former satellites, the former colonies, and how they have the audacity, he has the audacity in 2018 to continue to keep talking in such a fashion, in such a way where he's so condescending. And I just want you to listen to how he says certain things. So here we go. Let me start.
Today is the emissary of a distinct culture, a rich history, and a people bound together by ties of memory, tradition, and the values that make our homelands like nowhere else on earth. That is why America will always choose independence and cooperation over global governance, control, and domination. I honor the right of every nation in this room to pursue its own customs, beliefs, and traditions. The United States will not tell you how to live or work or worship. We only ask that you honor our sovereignty in return.
Did you get that? How to honor our sovereignty in return. Now think about that. The United States has military bases in 165 to 180 countries. At any moment, they tell you what to do. They tell your leaders what to do. This is how white supremacy functions. And he's saying it to over 170 to 190 countries. Now just imagine, here it is, 2018, and we're still living under this construct. And listen to this individual's wise elderly man. His name is Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., and he always says,
if you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Now, when you listen to President Trump, he explicitly says that don't mess with America's sovereignty. Now you ask yourself, America's sovereignty? America's sovereignty. Wow. We're in Iraq. We've destroyed Iraq. We destroyed Afghanistan. We're arming Saudi Arabia, and they're devastating the country of Yemen. The United States has armed Israel to where they're carpet bombing and have created an apartheid state in Palestine. We've killed, and when I say we've, I don't mean me. So I'm sorry if I use that word. America has killed Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, overthrew his country. They're conducting military operations all throughout the continent of Africa. You know, right now we're destabilizing Venezuela. Do you understand what that means? I live in a country where it tells other people to respect the sovereignty of this nation, while at the same time, simultaneously, they're forming and creating terrorist groups and funding, I forgot to use that word, funding terrorist groups to overthrow and undermine their governments. And they have the audacity to say, in the name of democracy. Now I want you to understand something. I live in a country, there's never been such thing called democracy in America. I'm a descendant of a slave, which is why I always wear this shirt, because I'm a proud descendant of a slave, and I expect and I respect how my ancestors made it to this point to where I'm able to speak to you. Now, we are witnessing I'm not even going to say Rome. I'm going to say the falling of the Second British Empire. Now, the reason why President Trump can get up there and speak the way he speaks is because of the doctrine of discovery. When the Pope and Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand sent Columbus on his mission to conquer all the lands there was no white Christians. And so they're still under this doctrine. Now, for those that don't understand what the doctrine of discovery is, the doctrine of discovery was a papal bull. And after centuries of rule by the Africans on the continent of Europe, Spain, they understand. When the Romans, the popes came back and got their power, they was like, they ain't gonna never let this happen again. So the papal bull of 1453 sanctioned that all non-Christians will be placed under the dominion of the Holy See. The Holy See is the Vatican. Okay, so he sent Columbus on. He allegedly discovers, land that they've never even knew existed. They step on the soil and they say this is ours. Under Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, that says that they can do this. Now you ask yourself, who gave these people the authority to do this? Who said they was Christians? Well, that's why President Trump can get up there and talk about sovereignty. Because under the doctrine of discovery, the entire world's sovereignty belongs in the hands of Europeans, white males, the white supremacist structure. In order to understand what I'm saying, I need you to comprehend and pay attention to the doctrine of discovery and how the papal bull of 1453, papal bull of 1493, with the issuance of the doctrine of discovery, has placed the planet on such a devastating trajectory. Again, in the words of the great Neely Fuller Jr.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Which is why you can have the United Nations meeting with all these foreign emissaries functioning under the guise of white supremacy and allowing this individual to even talk to them in such a fashion. Now, can you imagine in 1493 when the Pope sent Columbus on his journey? The lands that they went and conquered, dominated, they didn't speak the same language. So you have to ask yourself, how is that a legal document? How is that legal? Now, in order for us to unravel how white supremacy functions in the structure, we first have to understand how we got to this point. See, we at point G, letter G, H, I. We have to go all the way back to A and understand how this got to this point, which is why President Trump can disrespect the planet this way. The real problem is the people that's in that audience, that they sat there and that are constantly convening and coming way over here to North America to discuss these things. The people on the continent of Africa should have their own system. The people on the continent of South America should have their own system. The people in Asia should have their own system. But when you have centuries of being dominated, I mean truly dominated, because it was the Europeans who set up these people's economies, because they were, to be even generous in the term, they were client states. They was used to extract the wealth from all of these places that they planted a flag on. Now here we are, 2018. It's time for them to pull that flag that they've planted and change. Get out of this European economic banking system. Get out of it, because it's going to continue to be misery for the individuals that's there. See, that's one thing I love about living in the country, and I'm going to always say this when you watch my show. America and Europe don't mind telling you how they've acquired, how they strong-armed the wealth that they have. See, now it's not real wealth. Because they have their military, the United States is the spear, and the brain power is coming out of Europe to be able to continue this colonization. I mean, he explicitly said to him, you know what I'm doing? I'm gonna play it one more time for you. And I want you to listen to it.
Today is the emissary of a distinct culture, a rich history, and a people bound together by ties of memory, tradition, and the values that make our homelands like nowhere else on earth. That is why America will always choose independence and cooperation over global governance, control, and domination. I honor the right of every nation in this room to pursue its own customs, beliefs, and traditions. The United States will not tell you how to live or work or worship. We only ask that you honor our sovereignty in return.
Honor our sovereignty in return. The borders are artificial, a construct of Europeans. You have to, the doctrine of discovery, the Berlin Conference of 1884, which partitioned the continent of Africa, the Treaty of Torres, which granted Portugal everything in the Western Hemisphere. Spain was granted everything in the Eastern Hemisphere. You had the Sykes-Picot Agreement that once the Ottoman Empire collapsed after World War I, it was carved up, which is how you get a Saudi Arabia, how you get an Iran, how you get an Iraq. These are all construct of European white men. And yet we're still living under this construct. Now this is just a simple back because I've been gone for a while. So I just wanted to just give you just a little bit of our President, Donald J. Trump, the gangster in chief. Peace.